Hey, Magic fans, welcome back. This is your captain speaking here on Capnclydes MTG. We're back to wrap up Ixalan, the Lost Caverns. We got some commons, uncommons to wrap up the good fight or finish the fight. Anyway, let's go spelunking. So before we get started, don't forget, comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, the comments down below, feed that YouTube algorithm. Check us out, like us on Rumble, or subscribe here on YouTube. Subscribe on Rumble as well. It helps keep the channel sponsor free. Um, Also, links in the description, TCG, eBay store, where all the box opening series cards go up for sale to support the channel. Patreon's in there if you're feeling froggy, jump. And without further ado, we got a lot to cover, so let's just get into it. Alright, so first we're going to start with this. We've already seen Gargantuan Leech. It was already spoiled once, but this is the English version, so it says it's one less to cast for each cave you control and each cave card in your graveyard. There's the translation was not so hot the last time. Anyway, we have Volatile Fault. It is a cave. Taps for a colorless for one sacrifice. Destroy target non-basic land an opponent controls. That player may search their library for a basic land card. Put it on a battlefield, then shuffle. You create a treasure token. I've had some of my friends say this is better than the normal 2 mana destroy target non-basic and you both get a land because it's one cheaper. There is something to be said for this being a cave and having a cave centric effect with caves being in your graveyard, but this gives you a map token, not a land. So your opponent gets to search for the land, put it on the battlefield, and then you just get a treasure token. So you're actually setting yourself back a land drop by using this card. So I think this is going to be a pitfall for a lot of people who first try it. This, I do not think is a good card. I think it's very bad. Do not use it. Next, Swashbuckler's Whip. Now, if you're playing a cave deck, maybe give it a try. But anyway, Swashbuckler's Whip, one colorless, quick creature, has reach, and for 2 and tap, target artifact or creature. And then for 8, you can tap this to discover 10. Equip for 1. Limited All-Star. On the off chance you get to 8 mana, Jesus. But, I mean, it's going to be good for Commander. That's probably it. The ability to tap an artifact or a creature is really cool, but you got to put it on a creature. So you get an Icy if you sacrifice 2 cards. I don't think it's good enough. But if you're in Commander, whipping out Discovery 10, get it? Whip, Swashbuck. Anyway, it is going to be really cool. So, moving on. Next, we have Disruptor Wanderglyph. God, what a name. 4 colorless for a 3/4. Whenever it attacks, you exile a card from an opponent's graveyard. Hunter's Blowgun. Giggity. 1 colorless. Equipped creature gets +1/+1. Equipped creature has death touch as long as it's your turn. Otherwise, it has reach. Equipped for 2. This is really good, but probably only going to be good enough for Commander and Limited. This is not going to see any other play. Runaway Boulder, 6 colorless flash. When it enters the battlefield, deals 6 damage. Target creature and opponent controls. You can cycle it for 2. Again, good for Limited. Probably it. I mean, I guess you could play this if you really wanted to in Commander for giggles. Anyhow, Captivating Cave. Taps for a colorless. God, I'm so sick of this. For 1 and tap, you get 1 mana of any color. For 4, tap, sacrifice Captivating Cave, put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature, activate only as a sorcery. Seems bad. Next, we have Staggering Size. That's funny. It'd only be funny if it was a hamster. Well, it's kind of a hamster. Green and 1. Target creature gets +3/+3 and gains trample. Yep, giant growth just ain't what it used to be. Walk with the Ancestors. Green and 4 for a sorcery. Return up to 1 target permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. Discover 4. This seems really good. Nothing like Cascade 4 and pick up a permanent. I think it might be too much to be played. Could be okay in Standard. Definitely good for Commander. Ooh, ugly. Next we have Buried Treasure. 2 colorless. Tap, sacrifice it, add 1 mana of any color. It is a treasure. And then 5, exile the treasure from your graveyard. Cascade 5, activate only as a sorcery. This thing is busted 5 ways to Friday. This is going to be good in every format. I mean, what are they going to do? Put it in your graveyard so you can Cascade 5 later? I mean, Jesus, have mercy. This is going to be probably in every Commander deck for the most part. Definitely good in Limited. I think this has play in lots of formats just because I mean, it's mana fixing. Uh, it's mana ramp. Plus, you can exile from your graveyard. I mean, and think about it. If you play this on turn 3, on turn 4, you literally can tap this for a mana, put it in your graveyard, tap the 4 lands you have in play, and just do it then on turn 4. Like, it seems really powerful, especially for standard. Anyway, Cartographer's Companion, 3 colorless for a 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, create a map token. Pseudo land fixing, but not really. Probably just best for limited if you're lucky. Next we have Mineshaft Spider, green and 3 for a 3/4 with reach. Mineshaft Spider enters the battlefield, you may mill 2 cards. Wow, they don't make them like they used to. I remember when 4 mana got you a 2/4 vanilla with reach if you're lucky. Jesus. Over the Edge, green and a colorless. You get to choose one of the sorcery speed. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. Oh, look, they've made a green disenchant. That's just peachy. Also has target creature you control explores, then explores again. Oh, with options even. This is better than disenchant because it just does more. It's not an instant, but do you care? Yeah, limited, commander, standard. It's any format that likes disenchant. I mean, seriously, it plays green. River Herald Guide, green and 2 for a 3/1 with vigilance. When the guide enters the battlefield, it explores. Oh, so for 3 mana, you get a 4/2 or a 3/1. Draw a card. Pretty good common for limited, honestly. Seeking the Sunlight, 1 green for a 1/1. For a green and 2, it explores. Activate only as a sorcery. Good for limited. Great mana sink. Wow. Not sure if it'll be good in standard. It's going to depend how many merfolk you have to choose from. Because to be fair, like, this can be good in standard if you got nothing else to do with your mana. Like, the mana sink on this is reasonable, doable, and is relevant. Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? This thing becomes a 7/7 because you can't draw a card off of it? Oh, God, the horror. Anyway, moving on. Next we have Malamet Battle Glyph. 1 green, sorcery. Choose target creature you control and a creature you don't. If the creature you control enter the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it, then they fight. Fight! Finish him. Anyway, good combat spell. Definitely good for limited. Maybe standard. I mean, this ain't no joke. To put a +1/+1 counter and get to fight in the same turn for 1 extra mana, I've seen worse. Malamet Brawler, green and 1 for a 2/2. When it attacks, target attacking creature gains trampled in a turn. Limited. I mean, it's kind of vanilla. Malamet Scythe, green and 2 for flash. When it enters the battlefield, attach it to target creature. That creature gets +2/+2 and equips for 4. We've seen these be okay, but I just don't think this is the time for something like that. I mean, it might be okay in limited. Malamet Veteran, that's a beefy kitty. Green and 4 for a 5/4 with trample. Has to send 4. Whenever it attacks, if you have 4 more permanents in your graveyard, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Target. So, late game, if you've got your graveyard filled up, you play this bad boy. You're swinging in as a 6/5 for 5 mana. Seems good. And if they don't deal with it, it just gets worse as the time goes on. Alright, moving on. Next we have the Armored Kincaller, green and 2 for a 3/3. Good rate. When it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a dinosaur from your hand. If you do, or you control another dinosaur, you gain 3 life. I mean, that's fine. 3 mana, 3/3 for limited. Yeah, okay. Cavern Stomper, 2 green and 4 for a 7/7. Good rate. When it enters the battlefield, scry 2. That's also good. A green and 3 can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less. This is amazing common. Great for limited. I mean, it's not going to see play past that other than maybe Commander because it's cost so much it doesn't do enough for how much it costs, but it's got a lot of good abilities for 6 mana 7/7. Jesus. If it only had trample. Too bad that text box is so small. Anyway, Disturbed Slumber, green and 1 instant. Until the end of turn, target land you control becomes a 4/4 dinosaur with reach and haste. It's still a land. It must be blocked this turn if able. That's like pseudo removal in limited. Wow. Okay. That's good in limited, but that's probably going to be about it. In the Presence of Ages, green and 2 instant. Reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may put a creature card and or land card from among them into your hand, put the rest in the graveyard. Not bad. I mean, it's a good search spell, good for limited. Maybe good for other formats. 3 mana might be a bit of a stretch, though. We'll have to wait and see. It's only 4 cards. Alright, Sunfire Torch. 1 red equipment. The equipped creature gets +1/+0 has. Whenever this creature attacks, you may sacrifice the torch. When you do, this creature deals 2 damage to any target. Equips for 1. Okay, so kind of delayed shock. It's fine for limited. Sunshot Militia, red and 1 for a 1/3. Tap 2 untap artifacts and or creatures you control. The Militia deals 1 damage to each opponent. Activate only as a sorcery. That's a commander card if I've ever seen one. Tectonic Hazard, 1 red sorcery, 1 damage to each opponent and each creature they control. Yeah, we've seen this before. Normally it comes with no blocking, but this is just it's going to shoot everything for 1. Pretty good card against token decks. Anyway, Volatile Wonderglyph, red and 1 for a 2/2. Whenever it becomes tapped, you may discard a card if you do draw a card. Notice it doesn't say attack, it says tapped. So if you find ways to tap this, this is basically a Merfolk Looter. And I'm sure if you're tapping this by using something else, like, I don't know, Affinity for Artifacts or God knows what else, and Merfolk looting for free, just a bonus. Seems good. Alright, next we have Panic Altisor. Red and 4 for a 4/5 with reach. Tap. Panic Altisor deals 2 damage to each opponent. Seems familiar. Okay. Fine for commander because you're going to bolt everybody. We have Plundering Pirate. Red and 2 for a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, create a treasure token. Okay, so this is an amazing card. The uncommons, or commons and uncommons like this, get looked over a lot. You're basically paying 2 mana for a 3/2. Okay? Look at it like that. On turn 3, you're going to make a 3/2 that you paid 2 mana for, but you had to take an advance on mana now to get mana back later. Also, on turn 3, you lay this. On turn 4, you're laying a 5-drop. That's a lot. Plus, you got a 3/2 to begin with. Like, this is a good common. This is going to... I would suggest this see lots of play. Definitely limited. Hell, maybe standard. The older archetypes, it'll be hard because they're just hard. The old archetypes are just so powerful, but this is a good card. Next we have Rumbling Rockslide, red and 3 sorcery, deals damage to target creature equal to the number of lands you control. I think that's a reprint. I'm pretty sure it is. Seismic Monstrosity. Monstrosaur. Sorry, not Monstrosity. That's later. 2 red and 4 for a 6/5 with trample. Red and 2, sacrifice a land, draw a card, and mountain cycling. And they apparently ran out of room on the text box or anything else. That's an amazing card for limited. I mean, get a land early. Late, it's a 6/5 that you can sacrifice extra lands to draw cards. It has trample. It's 5 toughness. It's big old booty. Yeah, limited all-star. Definitely good in commander as well. Daring Discovery, red and 4, up to 3 target creatures can't block this turn. Discover 4, also known as Cascade. I mean, it's fine for limited. It could be good in commander just because you just discover for 4 for giggles. I mean, whatever. Atali's Favor, red and 2, enchantment or you enchant a creature that you control, so only your creatures get this. When a favor enters the battlefield, you discover 3. Oh, so it's a 3 mana Cascade spell that also gives the enchant creature +1/+1 and trample. Great and limited. Probably going to see standard play in some kind of red rush deck because, the only drawback is not having a creature in play. If you got a creature in play and you cast this, you're getting bonuses. So Goblin Tomb Raider, dang it, Breaches, get out of here. 1 red, 1/2 Goblin Pirate. As long as you control an artifact, Tomb Raider gets +1/+0 and has haste. Yep, red rush is going to be a thing. I don't think there's any 0-cost artifacts, so at least this thing won't be punching you for 2 on the first turn. Unless you're in older formats. So, this is going to be popular. Next we have Hotfoot Gnome. Red and 2 for a 3/1 with haste. That's fine. Other target creature gains haste in a turn. Maybe commander. It's okay for limited. That's about it. Next we have Ancestor's Aid. Red and 1. Target creature gets +2/+0. First strike till end of turn. And you make a treasure token. Another great combat trick that rebates mana. Phenomenal. I love it. Great for limited. Probably should see standard play. Brazen Blade Master. Red and 2 for a 2/3. Whenever it attacks while you control 2 or more artifacts, he gets +2/+1. So he's basically a 4/4 for 3 if you have 2 or more artifacts. Remember how I was talking about making treasures and how cool they were? This right here is why. Good for limited. Might be okay in standard. Have to see how it pans out. Burning Sun Cavalry, red and 1 for a 2/2. Whenever Burning Sun Cavalry attacks or blocks while you control a dinosaur, it gets +1/+1. Yeah, whatever. Child of the Volcano, red and 3 for a 3/3 with trample. At the beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Child of the Volcano. Okay, so if stuff's going to your graveyard, this thing's getting out of hand, and it has trample. Great for limited. Might see a little standard play depending on how much stuff you stuff in your graveyard and how fast. So, moving on, we have the Tithing Blade, which is a black and 1. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices a creature. That's amazing. Because it has craft with creature, which is you exile this artifact and a creature you control in play or from graveyard to turn it into, at the beginning of your upkeep, each opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1 life. This is a Commander All-Star. This is just going to piss everybody off. It's going to deal with things. The 1 life, you gain 1 life, everybody loses 1 life, will matter. Best way to piss off your Commander pod, highly suggestible because it's annoying. Sorry, guys. Moving on. Vito's Inquisitor, black and 3 for a 3/3. Sacrifice another creature or artifact, put a +1/+1 counter on this card, and it gains menace. So it becomes a 4/4 menace and a 5/5 menace, and it's just out of hand. Good common. Great for limited. Maybe Commander. Ancestors Aid flew in there again. How'd that happen? Must have been printed twice on the sheet. Next we have Mephitic Draught. Gee, I can't pronounce that. God. Black and 1. When it enters the battlefield or is put into the graveyard from the battlefield, you draw a card and lose a life. Hello. Okay. I mean, this is almost as good as the artifact that lets you draw a card when it comes in and when you sacrifice it. Same thing, except it's black, so it looks like black's getting a little juice. This is a great card. Limited, standard, commander, you name it. There's tons of ways to sacrifice this, especially with bargain. Among other things, you can use the sacrifice to draw a card and lose a life. Anyway, Rampaging Spike Tail, 2 black and 4 for a 5/6. When Spike Tail enters the battlefield, target creature you control gets +2/+0, gains indestructible in your turn, and has Swamp Cycling. Pretty sweet. Not gonna lie, gives you a free swing plus a big butt to block. We have Ray of Ruin, black and 4, exile target creature, vehicle, or non-basic land, scry 1. Holy crap. It slices, it dices, it makes julienne fries. I mean, the only thing it doesn't kill is stuff a disenchant doesn't kill. This is an amazing black card. Wow. Yeah, you should definitely be playing this in limited. I mean, 5 mana is a lot. I don't think I'll see standard play because of it. But Commander, I mean, I would run one of these in my Commander deck just because it kills almost anything you have trouble with. Except for like enchantments, which black doesn't deal with those very well anyway. It's just not their thing. Yeah, good card. Screaming Phantom, black and 2 for a 2/2 flyer. When it attacks you, mill a card. I mean, if you want to mill, I mean, this is a good card. 2/2 flyer for 3s. Pretty sweet. All right, moving on. Next we have Grasping at Shadows, black and 3 enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains Death Touch and lifelink till end of turn. That's pretty sweet. Put a dread counter on Grasping Shadows. Then if there are 3 or more dread counters on it, transform it, which turns it into a cave. Tap for a black, and tap, remove a dread counter from the shadows. You draw a card and you lose a life. Not gonna lie, it's a pretty sweet card. Standard play, probably not. Limited play, oh yeah. This is definitely Commander shenanigans all over it. And these are really the only caves you get of color. So if you want to make a cave, they kind of gotta play this kind of stuff, which is kind of hurts the soul. But anyway, decent card. Next we have Greedy Freebooter. Should it be looter? Anyway, moving on. 1 black for a 1/1. Whenever it dies, you scry 1 and create a treasure token. Wow, that's good. Limited All-Star. I mean, you get your mana back, plus you scry 1. You get a free block out of it. Mana ramp. Like, this just has it all. This will probably go into a Aristocrats deck because it gives them treasure to help with their mana base. They get to scry to see what's on top of their deck. Lots of stuff going on here, and it's all good. Join the Dead. 2 black and 1 instant. Target creature gets -5/-5 to end of turn. If you descend 4, which is if you have 4 more permanents in your graveyard, that creature gets -10/-10 instead. So this is going to be the new prime removal card out of the set. -5/-5 kills most things. And -10, definitely will. And if -10 won't kill the creature that's bothering you, you have bigger issues and probably should just scoop. Anyway, moving on. Next we have Death Cap Marionette, black and 1 for a 1/1 with Death Touch. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you may mill 2 cards. So cool, 2 mana Death Toucher, blocks, you don't have to mill. Good for limited. Deep Goblin Skull Taker, black and 2 for a 2/2 with Menace, not bad. Beginning of your end step, if you descended this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Wow, that's good. This can get out of hand quick, especially with Menace. Great for limited. Maybe some standard play, doubt it. Echo of Dusk, black and 1 for a 2/2. Descend 4, as long as there's 4 more cards in your graveyard. It gets +1/+1 and has lifelink, 3/3 lifelinker for 2. Yeah, good limited card. Maybe standard, depending on what's going on. Fungal Fortitude, black and 1 flash, enchant creature. Enchant creature gets +2/+0. When enchant creature dies, return to the battlefield tap under its owner's control. Wow, is that good? That's not only a combat trick, but a way to save a creature as well for 2 mana. Plus gives it extra attack, so it guarantees to kill. The only thing it doesn't give is Death Touch, which might be something that's lacking, so we'll have to wait and see. Probably limited at best. Waylaying Pirates, blue and 3 for a 3/3. Waylay Pirates enter the battlefield. If you control an artifact, tap target artifact or creature an opponent controls, and put a stun counter on it. It's fine. Limited. Acolyte of Akalazortas. Ugh, God, these names. Black and 2 for a 1/4. Sacrifice another creature or artifact. Each opponent loses 1 life. You gain 1 life. It's kind of like a that one pirate. Anyway, but worse. You don't get to draw. Another chance. Black and 2. You may mill 2 cards and return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. It's fine for limited. Dead Weight reprint. All right, moving on. Good removal spell, obviously. Great picture. She's hot. River Herald Scout, blue and 1 for a 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, it explores. I think that's a reprint, so you can get a 2/3 maybe if you're lucky, or draw a card. All good, limited. Sage of Days, blue and 2. When Sage of Days enters the battlefield, look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may put one of those cards back on top of your library. Put the rest into your graveyard. It's fine for limited. It is what it is. Shipwrecked Century, blue and 1 for a 3/3 defender. As long as the artifact enters the battlefield, it can attack. That's fine. Unlucky Drop, blue and 3. Target artifact or creature's owner puts it on the top or bottom of their library. Basic blue removal for limited. Next we have the Oaken Siren, a blue and 1 for a 1/2 flying vigilance. Pretty good. Add a blue, spend it only to cast artifact spells or activate their abilities. That's pretty decent for limited probably. Out of Air, 2 blue and 2. Spell costs 2 less if it targets a creature spell. Counter target spell. That's a very good counter spell. 4 for anything, 2 for creatures. That's some really nice stuff. That's going to see a lot of play in all the formats. Pirate Hat, blue and 1. A quick creature gets +1/+1. Whenever this creature attacks, draw a card, then discard. Cool. Equip a pirate for 1, everybody else for 2. So turn anything into a merfolk looter if it wants to take a swing at you. Seems good. Limited, probably about it. Relic's Roar, 1 blue, instant. Until end of turn, target artifact or creature becomes a dinosaur. It's 4/3 in addition to other types. Limited at best, probably, but still cool. Next, we have Ancestral Reminiscence. Blue and 3, draw 3 cards and discard a card. Would be good, but it's a sorcery, probably limited at best. Brackish Blunderer, or Blunder. Blue and 1, return target creature to its owner's hand. If it was tapped, create a map token. Basic blue removal. Eaten by Piranhas, blue and 1. Flash, enchanted creature loses all abilities. And it's a black skeleton, base power 1/1. Oh yeah, blue removal for limited. Great. Marauding Brine Fiend, 2 blue and 5 for a 6/7 with ward 3 and island cycling. That's the blue one. That's pretty good. Probably for limited. Doesn't really do anything other than swing into 1/1 tokens and get blocked. But island cycling is a thing for limited, so that does make it good for limited. Next we have Soaring Sandwing. Oh, there's the white version. 2 white and 4 for a 3/5 flyer. Enters the battlefield, gain 3 life for plane cycling. That's really good. That's good for limited. Thousand Moons Crackshot, white and 1 for a 2/2. Whenever it attacks, you may pay a white and 2. If you do, tap target creature, limited only. That's a lot of mana. Thousand Moons Infantry, white and 2 for a 2/4. Untap Thousand Moons Infantry during each other player's untap step. Wow, there's lots of shenanigans there in Commander. Good for limited, probably, definitely. And Commander, yeah, probably. Tinker's Tote, white and 2. Whenever it enters the battlefield, create 2 1/1 colorless gnome artifact creature tokens. Sacrifice a tote, gain 3 life. This is perfectly fine. It doesn't have flash or anything like the old ones did that would make something like this. It doesn't scry, which is probably better than gaining life, but this is still very good and playable. All right, next we have Iron Paw Aspirant, white and 1 for 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So 2/3 at best, 1/2 at worst. It's okay for limited. Might of the Ancestors, white and 2. At the beginning of combat, on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0 and gains Vigi. It is an enchantment. I'd rather just spend the same amount of mana and give everything +1/+1. It's probably better. But for limited, probably fine. Altec Archaeologist, white and 4 for a 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, you get to choose one. Return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Good. Or scry 3. Great limited card. About it, though. White and 5, Quicksand Whirlpool. The spell costs 3 less to cast. If it targets a tap creature, exile target creature. Good removal for limited. About as far as it's going to go, but still good. Deconstruction Hammer. 1 white, grip creature gets +1/+1, has 3 tap, sacrifice the hammer, destroy target artifact or enchantment, equips for 1. Wow, disenchant on a stick. That's really good. That's probably going to see play. Envoy of Aku Nek Ehura. Jesus. You can read it. 1 white and 2 for a 3/3. Fine rate for a common, but for 5, you can mana sink into it to start making 1/1s. Great for limited, probably commander as well. Family Reunion, white and 1. You get to choose one. Creatures you control get +1/+1 in a turn, or creatures gain hexproof. Wow, there's the next white protection spell. It's going to see a lot of play. Keep an eye on that one. Glorifier of Suffering, white and 2 for a 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice another creature or artifact. When you do, put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures. So notice how we had the artifact earlier that was black, that if you sacrificed it, you drew a card, you lost life, drew a card. This is how you do it in a white-black deck. So that's going to be really good for limited with that card. Moving on, we have Acrobatic Leap, 1 white. Target creature gets +1/+3 and gains flying in the turn. Untap it. Basic combat tricks. Okay for limited. Adaptive Gem Guard, white and 3 for a 3/3. Tap 2 untapped creatures. 2 untapped artifacts or creatures. Put a +1/+1 counter on this card only as a sorcery. Fine for limited. Probably as far as it's going. Attentive Sumscribe, white and 2 for a 2/2. When it becomes tapped, you scry 1. That is amazing. For limited, maybe even standard. Wow, that's good. Scrying 1 every turn is great, especially at cheap cost like that. You get 1 or 2 scries out of it, it's paid for itself. Cosminium Blast, white and 1. Deals 4 damage, target attacking or blocking creature for 2 mana. Good combat trick for limited. But that's really about it. And it looks like we finally get to wrap it up. Wow, that was a lot to go through. Alright guys, stay tuned. We're coming up with more box openings and my top picks of what the best cards out of this set will be for several of the formats. Pauper for 1, Commander, Standard. We'll have to wait and see. So until next time, be kind. And as always, I hope to see you across from the game table.